Brian.
And I'm Gavin.
We're part of the Project San Francisco team, and today is our third day here. We spent the first 2 days visiting Stanford University and touring the city, but today, on day 3, we've finally gotten to work. We've visited Cisco, Google, and the Intel Museum today, and now we're gonna let you know what we've seen and learned. We're gonna be talking about the museum today, but if you want to know more about Google or Cisco, you can click there or there. Intel, which is short for Integrated Electronics and not intelligent as many people think, makes semiconductor chips which eventually become the processors for computers. They started out in 1968 with 106 employees, including its two founders, Robert Noyce and Gordon Moore. Gordon Moore actually was the guy who came up with Moore's Law. I'll tell you more about that later. So in 1968, Intel started out, and in 1971, they came up with the world's first microprocessor, the Intel 4004. The chip contained 2,300 microtransistors. They're little on-off chips that allow you to control code, which is basically binary for this case. Now, Moore's Law stated that every year, the number of transistors in a microprocessor unit will double. Eventually, the law was revised to make it every 2 years, and in 2010 every 3 years. Now, Intel actually continued to follow this law, and they released the very next year a chip containing 5,000 transistors. And eventually they've created the chips that we use today that have over 1 billion transistors each, so to give you maximum processing power. And Intel continued making chips such as the 8086 and the 8088, which helped to create IBM's first PC. The IBM's first PC needed these chips to run its processors in order to do all the computations that a computer needs to do. They came up with the 386 chip and then the 486 chip. Now rivals were getting quite scared with what IBM was going to do, so they tried to take the name 586 as they knew Intel would go for that name. But sadly, Intel tried to fight for that name back in court, the 586 trademark, and they weren't able to get it back. So instead they went for the word Pentium. Now Pentium basically means 5, so they stuck with this throughout, and now you still have Pentium 2, Pentium 3, Pentium 4 processors available. Now Intel had to manufacture all these chips somewhere, so they had a clean room environment. Now their clean room is so good, it's a class 1 environment, which means there's only 1 dust particle per cubic foot. This is comparable to a hospital, which is a class 1000 environment, 1,000 dust particles per cubic foot. And think about this, a hospital is a clean, sterile environment, and yet it is dirtier than Intel's fabrication facilities. Here's a video on what the processing facility actually looks like. Every floor has its own purpose, and as it can be seen, the clean room was the 3rd floor. Let the video go back up there. This is the clean room where people have to go through stringent measures to make sure that no dust comes in. They wear these little suits called bunny suits to make sure that all dust is contained within themselves and does not escape their suit. There are actually 14 steps, and you can actually look it up on how to make sure that you do not let any dust into such an environment. Now, before we end off today, I want to leave you with a quote by Robert Noyce. Don't be encumbered by history. Go off and do something wonderful. Now with that, I'll leave you to ponder. Goodbye.